Allah have once again, dear friends. I would like to thank each and every one of those people who offered their prayers this evening. It is so beautiful to be reminded of the diversity of the human family and to see them all coming together as one. So I would like to welcome you all to this celebration of the 12th day of Ridvan. And I would also like to extend my thanks to all of you for joining us this evening, whether in person or online. It is so good to see you all and to know that you are here with us. In order to start this evening, I would like for us to make a note of the transformation that occurred within the Baha'i community, beginning with the arrival of Baha'u'llah in Baghdad in 1853 and culminating with his departure in 1863. And I would also like for us to sort of be able to visualize that transformation and the way that it impacted the inhabitants of the city of Baghdad. It is a powerful, powerful demonstration of the power of transformation. Now, when Baha'u'llah first arrived in Baghdad, he was in very poor health, and he was still suffering from the effects of his imprisonment in the Seychelles. The Baha'i community in Baghdad was suffering from the martyrdom of the Bab and the martyrdom of so many Baha'is. This all occurred following the attempt of the life on the Shah. The morals of the members of this dwindling community, no less than their numbers, had sharply declined. So here we have both their numbers declining as well as their moral integrity. Such was their waywardness and folly, to quote Baha'u'llah's own words, that upon his release from prison, his first decision was to arise and undertake with utmost vigor the task of regenerating this people. And that's from Shoghi Effendi and God Passes By. Now, Mirza Yahya at this time was the guardian of the Baha'i community. And he lived in fear and in seclusion. He frequently went into hiding, utilizing a number of disguises. His written responses to inquiries were lacking and inadequate. His leadership left much to be desired, and the fledgling community continued to struggle and fail. Baha'u'llah, on the other hand, worked tirelessly to uplift the dispirited community. The followers of the Bab increasingly turned to Baha'u'llah and found in his utterances the same spirit they had found in the Bab's teachings. The nobility of his character, the wisdom of his counsel, and the loving kindness that he showered upon all served to revive the Baha'i community. Mirza Yahya became increasingly jealous of Baha'u'llah's following and his impact and influence on the Baha'i community. His jealousy became so intense that he began to sow seeds of suspicion and doubt amongst the believers, and he slandered the character of Baha'u'llah. 1 year after his arrival in Baghdad, and in response to these attacks, Baha'u'llah decided to withdraw to the mountains of Kurdistan. And he said about this event, "The one object of our retirement was to avoid becoming a subject of discord among the faithful, a source of disturbance unto our companions, the means of injury to any soul, or the cause of sorrow to any heart." He remained in Kurdistan for 2 years, and news of his eloquence and wisdom began to spread. Leaders of thought began to visit him and were so impressed with his innate knowledge that they continued to visit him after his subsequent return to Baghdad. Following his return, he wrote prolifically, and his monumental works include such outstanding and supreme works as the Kitab-i-Khan, the Seven Valleys and the Four Valleys, Gems of Divine Mysteries, the Hidden Words, and tablets such as the Tablet of the Maiden and the Tablet of the City of Unity. The Baha'i community began to thrive under the leadership of Baha'u'llah. It was revived and reanimated to such an extent that we are witness to its extraordinary transformation revealed on that eve of his departure in 1863. Regarding the 12th day of Ridvan, the following are first the words of Baha'u'llah, followed by, which come from the Days of Remembrance, and that quote is followed by words from Shoghi Effendi from God Passes By. And third, we have a personal account of a believer present at Baha'u'llah's departure. And when the appointed time of tarrying was fulfilled, and the decree of departure was received, the beauty of the All-Merciful arose and went out from the Ridvan garden, riding upon the finest stallion. Blessed then be the All-Glorious, who appeared in the world of creation with a sovereignty that transcended the heavens and the earth. As he departed, a cry of sorrow ascended from the garden, and its trees and leaves and fruits and walls and air and ground and pavilion, while the dwellers of the deserts and the wilderness and even the very dunes and the dust of the earth rejoiced at his approach. The departure of Baha'u'llah from the Garden of Ridvan at noon on the 14th day of Dil Qadi, 1279 AH, or May the 3rd, 1863, witnessed scenes of tumultuous enthusiasm, no less spectacular and even more touching than those which greeted him when leaving his most great house in Baghdad. The great tumult, wrote an eyewitness, associated in our minds with the day of gathering, the day of judgment, we beheld on that occasion. Believers and unbelievers alike sobbed and lamented. The chiefs and notables who had congregated were struck with wonder. Emotions were stirred to such depths as no tongue can describe, nor could any observer escape their contagion. Mounted on his steed, a red roan stallion of the finest breed, they went from us. I'm sorry. Sorry, everyone. Lost my place. This red roan stallion was the best his lovers could purchase for him. And leaving behind him a bowing multitude of fervent believers and admirers, he rode forth on the first stage of a journey that was to carry him to the city of Constantinople. Numerous were the heads, Nabil himself, a witness of that memorable scene, recounts, which on every side bowed to the dust at the feet of his horse and kissed its hooves, and countless were those who pressed forward to embrace his stirrups. How great the number of those embodiments of fidelity testifies a fellow traveler, who, casting themselves before that charger, preferred death to separation from their beloved. Methinks that blessed steed trod upon the bodies of those pure-hearted souls. He, God it was, Baha'u'llah himself declares, who enabled me to depart out of the city of Baghdad, clothed with such majesty as none except the denier and the malicious can fail to acknowledge. These marks of homage and devotion continue to surround him until he was installed in Constantinople. The last quote is from Mirza Asudullah Kashani, who later wrote about Baha'u'llah's departure from Baghdad. On the 12th day, in the afternoon, they went from us, under the escort of Turkish soldiers, to an unknown destination. Although Baha'u'llah had commanded the friends not to follow them, I was so loath to let him go out from my sight that I ran after them for 3 hours. He saw me, and getting down from his horse, waited for me, telling me with his beautiful voice, full of love and kindness, to go back to Baghdad, and with the friends to set about our work, not slothfully, but with energy. Be not overcome with sorrow. I am leaving friends I love in Baghdad. I will surely send to them tidings of our welfare. Be steadfast in your service to God, who doeth whatsoever he willeth. Live in such peace as will be permitted to you. Baha'u'llah's final instructions upon his departure was the following: arise and proclaim unto the entire creation the tidings that he who is the all-merciful hath directed his steps toward the Ridvan and entered it. Guide then the people unto the garden of delight, which God hath made the throne of his paradise. In the Kitab-i-Ikam, Baha'u'llah states the object of his revelation. He says, is not the object of every revelation to effect a transformation in the whole character of mankind, a transformation that shall manifest itself both outwardly and inwardly, that shall affect both its inner life and external conditions? For if the character of mankind be not changed, the futility of God's universal manifestations would be apparent. The term transformation means to change in condition, nature, or character, to convert or change one form of energy into another, or in terms of our inner nature, to change from that of the lower to that of the higher. Shawki Effendi, in a letter to an individual believer, said, for the Baha'i faith is above all a way of life. It is not a mere philosophical or social doctrine. Just remember the mind from the 9th day of Ridvan and its significance. It is among the pillars of the faith of God, as mentioned by Abdu'l-Baha. And Abdu'l-Baha, in Promulgation of Universal Peace, says, the important factor in human improvement is the mind. In the world of the mind, there needs to be development and improvement. There must be reformation in the kingdom of the human spirit. Otherwise, no result will be attained from the betterment of mere physical structure. So how do we develop and improve our minds? Any ideas? Any thoughts? Okay. First of all, we need to create new pathways in our minds that are in keeping with the teachings of Baha'u'llah. And these new pathways will create a default or a go-to response. For one's thoughts will then follow down those rather than the old way. This takes time and practice, which results from being mindful and calling ourselves to account, making our morrow better than our eve. Shabdi Effendi, in another letter to an individual believer, has written, center the spiritual consciousness of which vision is a part. Center the spiritual consciousness on the prophet of God. Therefore, you should study the spiritual teachings and receive the water of life from the holy utterances. Then, by translating these high ideals into action, your entire character will be changed, and your mind will not only find peace, but your entire being will find joy and enthusiasm. The next quote is from Promulgation of Universal Peace by Abdu'l-Baha, and I'm going to take some liberties here and change wherever he writes you and yours, I'm going to change that to we and our. We must become the lamps of Baha'u'llah so that we may shine with eternal light and be the proofs and evidences of his truth. Then with such signs of purity and chastity be witnessed in our deeds and actions, that men will behold the heavenly radiance of our lives and say, verily, ye are the proofs of Baha'u'llah. Verily, Baha'u'llah is the true one, for he has trained such souls as these, each one of which is a proof in himself. They will say to others, come and witness the conduct of these souls. Come and listen to their words. Behold the illumination of their hearts. See the evidences of the love of God in them. Consider their praiseworthy morals and discover the foundations of the oneness of humanity firmly implanted within them. What greater proof can there be than these people that the message of Baha'u'llah is truth and reality? It is my hope that each one of you shall be a herald of God, proclaiming the evidences of his appearance in words, deeds, and thoughts. Let your actions and utterances be a witness that you are of the kingdom of Baha'u'llah. These are the duties enjoined upon you by Baha'u'llah. And in conclusion, in deep and heartfelt prayer, that each and every one of us might become worthy of the following. Ye are the stars of the heaven of understanding, the breezes that stirreth at the break of day, the soft flowing waters upon which must depend the very life of all men. Allahu Akbar.